Bueno, bienvenidos nuevamente al canal, al último video de lo que es el WCQ en Norteamérica. Estamos en la final. Tenemos a Jeremy y Lars. Vamos jugando Kashtira, ¿no? Ya lo vimos en los videos. Lars que en top 8 puede ser. Y Jeremy en el top 4, el último video. Ganando con el virus epidémico. Limpiando una mano de 6 cartas, 5 magias. Bueno, final. Mucha gente ahí.
The consistency of the Kashtira deck has been hit a little bit, so getting that 6th card is really important sometimes, and it's a lot easier to break into an established field than really
Primero,
the more that
¿quién
you
gana
won't
el
be able to break in the mirror match.
¿Quién empieza y quién gana? Vemos una gospel ahí.
Yeah, and both of these players are main decking 3 copies of that Dimension Shifter. It kind of reminds me when like 2 grass greener decks face off each other. Before you start the match, you already know 3 cards you're probably going to side out for game number 2.
Absolutely. So now we saw Lars open that card both games 1 and game 2 in his feature match. I think he wants to go as far away from that card as possible this match.
We'll have to see how the players draw. It looks like they're shuffled up and ready. The hands are dealt. That's right. Get ready. It's game number 1 here of the finals of the North American World Championship qualifier.
La final, último duelo, 7.
Will Lars roll? It is a 10. Okay, Lars go first. All right.
Empieza Lars.
How it goes for Lars here.
Sabe que está jugando
I know I saw a copy of Infinite Impermanence, so that will be useful. He's going to start with Pressure Planet Race off.
Ash Blossom.
Immediately from Jeremy, playing
Mira,
like triple tactics talent.
I think he has to draw. I don't see any monsters in his hand.
Looks like he is going to draw 2 cards. 1, 2.
Draw
Does he
dos.
get that Kashtira Unicorn?
Oh,
That's a lot of spell cards. I see an Infinite Impermanence. I see an enemy control. I think I see another enemy controller. A Kashtira Theosis.
Does he have that Kashtira monster he needs to get the ball rolling?
I think those are
Bien.
5 spells and an Impermanence.
Looks like he doesn't have any.
Tiene nada, si te das.
Going to be enough to stop Lars in his tracks
Impermanence.
by drawing the 2 cards from the triple tactic talents.
Jeremy making that as a play. He knows
Hey, Blue.
that the Kashtira matchup, that strategy is so reliant on finding its monsters, but there's not that many actual monsters. You want to cut it off in any way possible if they don't immediately open
Impermanence ahí, unicornio.
Unicorn met with Infinite Impermanence here.
Yep, after activating the effect, trying to add a spell, and now it looks like Jeremy has a Kashtira Rise Heart in hand, going to be able to special summon it, going to banish a Kashtira card from the deck to banish the top 3 cards of Lars' deck face down.
Looks like going to be banishing a copy of Kashtira Fenrir. If Jeremy has a copy of Birth in his hand, this could really seal the deal for Birth.
And there is Kashtira Birth.
Bueno, hace el
I was going to say the same thing, doesn't activate the Infinite Permanent Zone. He's going to be able to special summon that banished Kashtira Fenrir.
Now all he has to do is literally just get a copy
Fenrir
of Kashtira
y
and the same way Lars has been able to end all those matches before.
Just attacking
un
for
poquito
game,
más y ya puede pegar y ganar. Tenemos más tiempo ahora en este ya. 65 creo, ¿no?
Second copy of Infinite Permanence.
Una copia de Impermanence.
Now, even though those are powerful interruptions, those monsters are still there. There's still so much pressure. Lars is down 2 cards, not being able to remove those bodies. Kashtira Birth is up there. Jeremy is holding all the cards right now.
What do you think about using the Infinite Permanence on the Kashtira Rise Heart, potentially? Do you think there's a reason why he held it off and used it for the Fenrir? Maybe just hoping that his opponent didn't have something like Birth?
I think, yeah, Lars used that. He is really far behind right now. If Jeremy has access to Kashtira Birth, there's really a low chance of winning in the first place. You want to try to cut him off as much as possible and keep as many
Tiene Prosperity y la otra no.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, Jeremy's still sitting on a copy of Prosperity in his hand, I see. And it looks like Jeremy's going to
Entra, mata el pega.
Kashtira Unicorn. It's going to be an effect negated, so he's going to be able to look at that extra deck thanks to Infinite Permanence.
Yep, same thing with Fenrir. Fenrir will not be able to go after that pressure.
No va a poder
Maybe that's why the double Infinite Permanence
Iniciar
makes
el
sure those
extra.
monster effects don't deal with anything on his field.
ni iniciar el cartón acá abajo.
Now Jeremy, after he got his damage in, he might go to main phase 2 to use something like Pot of Prosperity since he won't have to have that damage.
The Emperor's right here, right?
A ver, un momento de ver pausa. Bueno, continuamos, tuve que ver pausa un momentito. ¿En qué estamos? Bien. Ok. Tiene Prosperity, inicié a
Imagine has to be 4, 5, 6.
6.
Why not at this point? Yeah. What is he looking for? Just probably any of those powerful quick play spell cards, potentially a Book of Moon, maybe a
A ver,
Yeah, something to disrupt Lars if he has to draw something to make a comeback.
I'm sorry, it's his habit.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Main deck Dark Hole.
Maybe just getting more resources with the pressure planet is good enough.
Cards in hand?
Maybe going for Theosis to put additional bodies in the field.
I think it's between Theosis and Birth for follow-up. Or the Pressure Planet.
Yeah, getting another copy of Birth is always strong. I imagine Jeremy's going to be
1600 de vida le queda a Lars.
It does go for the Pressure Planet race off. Pressure Planet when it's activated,
Agarró el campo,
your
¿no?
monster from your deck to your hand. Also gives all your monsters on the field 100 attack and defense for every different attribute on the field.
I wonder if Jeremy is going to commit it now or just keep it to make a choice based on what happens on the following turn. He's going to
Activa el campo.
Pressure Planet race off. Let's see what
Se
he
trae
decides.
el Scarflow.
Fenrir. Looks like he's thinking about Scare Clock Kashtira.
He could easily just extend further at this point, knowing that Lars doesn't have any actual resources. There's no Kashtira monster
Se
in
trae
his
el
top deck.
Scarflow.
Is it a unicorn he's adding? It looks like it. I can
No,
see between the
unicornio.
shuffles.
Yep, that is a Kashtira Unicorn.
Unicornio. Bien.
Being able to normal summon that maybe in the following turns off the Kashtira Birth.
I think he still has a normal summon this turn even.
That's true.
Yeah, because you use the special, the Rise Heart, and use the Birth on the Fenrir. But he probably wants to save it for the next turn.
I wonder, like, what these monsters are you going to go into
Muy
right now?
bien, ahora hace...
Oh, the Flare Metal.
Red Eyes
Nuevamente
Flare Metal. He's
hace
putting the pressure. Lars only has
Flare Metal.
1,600 life points remaining.
That's the reactivation.
¿Qué le
He's
da?
going to need to do something to get rid of this Red Eyes Flare Metal before he can really jump back into this game. That's cool. I love me some
¿No?
Red Eyes Flare Metal here in the finals of the North American
Algo así.
Championship qualifier.
Definitely not something we see every day.
Queda pila de
So there
tiempo.
are some differences even in this Kashtira match where you expect to see almost all the same cards.
Yeah, Jeremy's showing why he's here in the finals. You can't just play standard. Sometimes you got to have some surprises for your opponents along the way.
Lars really contemplating his options. He has to be really careful how he sequences his next plays. He only has so many activations to work with.
¿No? 700, 600, algo así. O 500. No sé, no me acuerdo bien.
Jeremy didn't have that Ash Blossom of Joyous Springs. Things could be going differently here, but it looks like he did
Fenrir.
Fenrir. He's going to go straight to battle phase to try and force out the effect
Aquí
to
a
banish
Battle.
the Flare Metal.
Perfecto. Para iniciarlo.
Both right sides pumping them up by 100 each.
Ok.
Oh,
Y
there's his follow-up, which is going to be met with
en el
enemy
control. Perdón, el
He's gonna
control.
take
Ok.
Lars is not out just yet. It's still in the battle phase, so he can attack with the
Y
Fenrir.
pega con el Fenrir.
So that's 56.
Now Lars has the ability to go after any of his Kashtira monsters in his deck, being able to extend into a rank 7 play of his own, and the ability actually that is a Theosis in his hand, being able to extend into this full
Okay.
combo here.
Can he make a comeback?
Eh,
Yep.
This Kashtira matchup can be so swingy.
He's going to use the effect of Kashtira Fenrir here in main phase 2.
Efecto de
Enemy control
Fenrir
is so
ahora,
incredible in the
que
mirror
no es
match.
él.
I love that they're main decking copies of enemy controller. We've seen a lot of players main decking 3 copies. One of my favorite cards of all time, and it's just so versatile.
Yeah, that's a play also by Lars just keeping it in his hand. He did not set it with those infinite permanences. He did not want to risk having the enemy controller being removed at all because he knew that's what he was going to need in the resource battle to crack back in whatever field that Jeremy needs. He knew that he wasn't going to be able to win this without drawing a monster himself, and Fenrir was a perfect one, able to bait out both
Piensa
resources
ahí.
from Jeremy and then take control of Jeremy's own monster.
Yeah, when you don't draw so great, you can't just be frustrated at your hand. You have to think about what can I do from this position. Can I play to my outs? What card can I draw, and how can I play to my hand?
5500 le queda a Jeremy y Lars
So now
100.
Lars taking a moment to look at his deck today.
1600.
Being rewarded for his foresight here, looking towards his outs, finding one of them.
Está pensando, está
Now he's going
pensando.
to be able to contemplate through his plays and figure out what the best
Okay.
end field is, knowing that Jeremy
Cuadra
has
is hard.
unicorn in his hand as well as the already on the board.
Theosis,
You're
¿no?
going to use Theosis. You're targeting the Fenrir, special summon Kashtira monster with a different attribute.
Ok,
This is
Fenrir
Kashtira
invoca
Unicorn. You use
a
that effect to add Kashtira
Unicornio.
Birth.
Unicornio trae Bir.
Which monster did Lars add off the effect of Fenrir at this point? Was it another copy of
It was
Unicorn?
Unicorn, yeah. So one of the 2 cards in hand is Unicorn. So Lars is probably going to be looking to get this Birth off the field.
Lars also has a copy of Tactics still, but unfortunately all those effects were activated in the battle phase.
Yep, got to be in the main phase. Unless it's triple tactics thrust, which could be any time in the turn.
Looks like he's going to be
El
using
Arise.
card here and be able to banish one of those Kashtira cards from the deck, potentially going for a monster here to be able to touch someone off Birth. There is already a Fenrir in the grave, but you know maybe wanting access to a different one. We see Lars is on a heavier Kashtira engine. He can go for something along the lines of Kashtira Ogre.
He is thinking about his
Está
options.
pensando. Me sobra tiempo, tan
He's gonna use that
sobra de
right
tiempo,
here.
así que.
He is eyeing that Kashtira Ogre, as you mentioned. Ogre's pretty cool.
Inicia
If you add a Kashtira
tres-
card, usually
dos
we see
libros,
players
¿no?
with Kashtira Ogre. That also means they're playing Kashtira preparations as well.
Ok.
Yeah, you might
Inició
also
y
be
de
using
como
the
puesto
effect
un
of-
ogro.
not really something that a lot of people pay attention to, but being able to look at the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck and banishing one of them, you get a lot of knowledge. You just get to see, one, the card that they're drawing, and 2, just what kind of cards they're playing.
Mm.
True. Now Lars overlaying the 3 level 7 monsters for Kashtira.
I think he's going for a Rise Heart, but I was
A
wondering
Rise Heart.
Ahora es
if he would even want to go for something along
Inicio,
the lines of
o sea,
Dark
se
Dragon,
ocupa 3
because
materiales.
anyway,
No, I think this is fine.
yeah, being able to set up, maybe potentially going after the cards that he lost.
Y
Yeah,
inició
he was losing a lot of monsters
el
it
Bir.
seems, from the previous Rise Hearts from Jeremy, so he wants to be able to get access to those back.
All right, here comes Kashtira Birth. He's going to use the effect. He's summon that Kashtira Ogre that he banished Kashtira Rise Heart. Ogre effect can activate, and he's going to add that Kashtira trap from the deck to the hand. I mentioned it's going to be
Ogro,
Kashtira
escupe
preparations.
ogro.
He's going, unless he sided it out, maybe.
A
He could have
ver.
been banished from the Rise Heart, or he could have sided out. Nope, there's the preparations.
Going to grab
Ahí
Kashtira
está.
preparations, offering another form of
Preparación.
interruption by going after those banished Fenrirs and Unicorns.
Lars taking a second look at everything, make sure he knows all of his resources that he has available.
Ah,
to
le
him.
pudo dar
He
vuelta.
knows that Jeremy does have that Unicorn in the hand, so he's going to have to deal with that.
Parecía que perdía ahí el
Looks like
duelo
he's gonna hold
ese.
the preparation in the hand.
Passing turn with no actual
A ver
interruptions.
qué pasa.
Jeremy having Unicorn.
Cáliz,
on
¿no?
play, I don't know if a single Rise Heart is going to be good enough. He held the preparation in hand.
So Jeremy's going to special summon the Kashtira Unicorn, use its effect to add a Kashtira
Un
spell
cáliz.
card from the deck to the hand. Lars
Se
only
empieza
sitting on
unicornio,
16 life points.
este
Jeremy just needs to
unicornio.
find a way to do a little bit of damage, and he'll be up
Sí.
one game here in the finals of the
Solo
North
tienen que
American
pegarle
World
un
Championship
poquito,
qualifier.
un poco de daño.
Another copy of Kashtira Birth. This has been as possible. You are able to just summon monsters from your graveyard already banished every single turn. So a little stronger than Theosis because you're thinking more of a long game.
And is this the Kashtira Ogre effect?
Yeah, that's the Kashtira Ogre looking at the top 5 being able to banish.
Kashtira
one of those
Ogre.
now.
Dark Bolt?
Revelando 5.
Getting rid of the Kashtira
Okay,
Circle.
that makes sense.
That actually makes probably a big difference here. I mean, Kashtira is
¿Cuál
able to access
cuál
those
sacó?
again via
No vi
a
cuál
Rise Heart,
sacó.
but it's not going to be accessible assuming that Jeremy
Y
only
puso
uses a
así.
copy, which most people do.
Very true. Now this is going to trigger a Rise Heart since the card was banished. He's trying to get to that, those 3
Respecto a
materials.
Rise Heart para acoplar material con la carta anillada, obligatorio.
It looks like a triple tactic talent. It is a triple
TTT.
tactic talent. He's going to be able
Okay.
to use that to take the
Uh,
Kashtira
ya
Rise
está.
Heart. The talent is going to get banished, and he's going to trigger the Rise Heart to attach a material.
I imagine he's either going to go for something along the lines of Theosis if it's banished, or just maybe get that Scare Claw back.
Y está, creo que con eso ya está, ¿no?
I don't know if Lars is going to be
Porque
able
le
to
pega
really
al ogro y después le pega con el
effects
unicornio
back.
y está.
A Rise Heart is already putting up most of the damage necessary.
Yeah, Lars is going to use the Birth effect since the spell card is always going to banish 3 cards from Jeremy's
Estaría
graveyard.
ganando 1-0.
Right start.
And then Rise Heart will just trigger again, attaching one more card.
Probably that Scare Claw.
No?
Kashtira. Or I forgot he Pot of Prosperity, so there's plenty of cool targets under there as well. But this is Lars the Rise Heart, but I don't think he's going to get it back.
Yeah, I think if the game isn't ending this turn, he can turn into a Divine Arsenal Zeus.
More
Perfecto.
materials, the better.
Vamos así equipándose, acoplando.
Looks like he's thinking about using the Rise Heart effect, so he's going to banish 3 to
Bueno,
banish.
llega y tal, y pegue.
Trigger a Rise Heart to attach another material underneath it.
Just getting.
I was asking me as yours.
Which of those two you're saying? That one's yours and that one might be mine. I attached one to the back.
Oh, they're just clarifying which cards belong to who. There's been a lot of cards going over.
Ah,
There's
the
the
same
cards.
sleeves.
Tengo que hablar de quiere qué carta.
And that is enough to go
Y ya
into
está.
game 2.
Ok, bien.
Jeremy Mitchell taking game number 1. Now mere moments
Duelo
away
1
from the
terminado.
North American World Championship
1-0.
champion.
Making sure to clarify before that, because it's so easy to make that error. We've seen it happen in previous events of this caliber, where because the sleeves are so common at this point, the players were asked to re-sleeve into these sleeves that were provided for them. It's very easy to just get them mixed up when cards change control, and there's so many cards change control with enemy control. It's practice count. Sometimes it's really easy to get confused as to what belongs to who.
A ver si puedo conseguir acá justo el... Ahí, esto es 39, 17, 2 minutos más. Ok. Voy a levantar 2 minutos. Está quedando 49 minutos. 1-0 ganando Jeremy. 16 victorias, solo una derrota. Y Lars tiene 14 victorias y 2 derrotas y un empate.
I know my favorite champion, Chris Bowling, but that's from way long ago. One of my favorite matches, Chris Bowling versus Shane Scurry. It was the Gladiator Beast Finals, and then he went on to go to represent us at the World Championship many, many years ago. That's probably my favorite one, and this could become an instant classic as well, and we're going to have to see if the players are ready. Looks like their side deck, they're shuffled, they're drawing their hands. It's almost time to find out what's going to happen here in game
El tiempo está en
number 2.
pausa.
Is he going to put Jeremy on?
Pero ahí está pasando el tiempo. Así.
He doesn't want to see a hand like he did in that game number 1.
Bueno, empieza el juego. Ok.
Yep, and when you go to that World Championship, you feel like a little bit of swagger.
Arranca nomás.
So let's go ahead and do it. It's game number 2 of our North American World Championship.
Duelo 2-0 o podrá empatarlo. Ok, empezó lejos en primero. Bueno.
Prosperity being so ridiculously strong in the Kashtira deck, not only being able to access 6 cards from the top of your deck, which is something the deck
Performing, Unicornio, Arise
also
Heart,
putting those cards
Poesis, Ash, y otra Arise Heart.
So good, he press pretty much anything he wants here.
That is literally every option in the deck.
If he already has all the starter cards he needs, he can go out to that Ash Blossom Joy String. Is that Theosis? Or is there pressure?
That is Theosis.
Interesting, out of all the ones. That means he probably already has a Pressure Planet Race Off in the hand, I believe.
Or at the very least, just having Unicorn. But that just means Unicorn can go after Kashtira Birth, and having Kashtira Birth for the remainder of the game is what you ideally want.
Especial Fenrir, efecto. Tiene algo. No.
We'll likely see the follow-up of the activation of Theosis. Going to be able to summon Unicorn to get that Birth.
Tiene un Dark Hole, man. Ok.
There it is.
Alright, Theosis is going to special summon Kashtira Unicorn.
Unicorn going to be able to grab, assumingly that
Efecto Unicornio.
And again, this is that point. Where does Jeremy want to go from here? Does he want to just leave up these two? Does he want to commit more to the field? Looks like Jeremy wasn't actually prepared to go first this game. There's still a copy of Dark Hole, unless he chooses to keep that in, because he knows that monsters are constantly being moved from the field back and forth here, as we saw in game 1. The field swings so often, maybe Dark Hole is one of those cards that he uses to get back into the game.
Yeah, and I think there's a chance Lars chooses to go first again, so he probably kept that in mind as well.
Oh, actually, I'm sure that Jeremy was prepared to go first. There's a copy of Eradicator in his hand.
he probably prepared for both instances, not knowing, but imagine after seeing Lars lose game 1, after choosing
Tiene...
you can kind of guess he's going to choose to go second. And now he's going to overlay the 2 seconds for Kashtira Shangri-Ira.
¿Qué tiene,
Now
man?
he's going to
Oh,
use the effect
está.
Kashtira Rise Heart to banish
Shangri-Ira.
Big Bang.
Yep,
No, efecto.
Going for that wide play, setting up the Shangri-Ira on the field.
Sí, me Nibiru.
Like the 3 material Rise Heart by being able to get this monster back from Big Bang under the Shangri-Ira, overlaying for another copy of Shangri-Ira, and then all 3 of those.
Nuevamente tiene erradicador, hermano. Pensaba que capaz que lo dejaba de primero, sí. Tiene un libro también.
Contemplating his option there. So I think he's just going to keep it in his hand. Imagine he
¿Qué más
wants
tiene? Dark Hole, ¿no?
Oh, yes, of course. He's not going to commit resources to the Rise Heart because he can just use it immediately for the Eradicator and hold back as much
Y
as
ya hace ahí, y se te da erradicador, y mucho más tiene que hacer.
Third set, probably Dark Hole.
Probably.
Keeping Birth and Fenrir. Oh, setting
Ok,
Birth as
se
well.
te da 4. Y pasa
Hoping
todo.
that Lars does not have a copy of Evenly Match.
Maybe he does.
Ciclón.
And here comes Epidemic Eradicator Virus.
Calling spells. It looks like that's a lot of spells.
Magia.
Is he going to chain that Cosmic Cyclone from his hand?
He kind of has to.
Lars thinking.
Está pensando.
Doing this in the standby or in the draw phase rather, so Shangri-Ira can still summon in the standby phase and be safe from those.
Lo va a
copies
iniciar ahí.
Lars chains Cosmic Cyclone targeting. Ooh, the Book of Moon. That's the one he wants to hit.
That's a good one. If he has a
Okay.
monster,
No.
good. Oh,
And
he has Fenrir.
I guess Fenrir and Infinite Permanence. This is something. He lost a lot of
Tiene
cards
Fenrir.
though.
Tiene Fenrir y
So hitting that
Impermanence.
hitting that Book of Moon is good.
At this point, I don't think Jeremy wants to use that Shangri-Ira anymore because if he activates it, he will simply be allowing Lars to use it, summon the Fenrir, and go immediately into an Rise with it.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to activate the Shangri-Ira either.
43 minutos. Otro erradicador.
Thinking.
En otra final.
Sets are Dark Hole
Lo
and
tuvimos
Birth. He can get
en...
extremely punished here if he chooses to activate the Shangri-Ira.
Lars not in a bad shape.
El que ganó en Tinkabuy, ¿no? Con el erradicador. Me quedó con el laberinto. Tenemos ahora en la semifinal también. Bueno, especial de Fenrir. Vamos a ver si esa cosa me puede haber sido muy complicada porque ese tío el Beef, ese tío... ¿Qué más ese tío? Puede haber pegado otra cosa, pero...
Because yeah, Jeremy's sitting on no cards in hand.
Si le quedaba el book,
Oh,
porque
does
le
he
decía
does
book
he
como una
does he
Fenrir y ya está,
Oh,
¿no?
that's right, because you added it with the big bang, it didn't summon it. That's true.
Está bien.
So
Está bien,
not
¿no?
the end of the world for Jeremy. This is just a lot of back and forth.
Porque si no pegaba el book, la especial de Fenrir le decía común y ya está.
Both of them are already guaranteed to represent North America in Japan at the World Championship in a month, so you're gonna make sure to stay tuned for that. And now he's gonna use Rise Heart's effect to banish Unicorn, to banish the top 3 cards.
Y llega 3 boca abajo. Tiene un bicho humano, ¿no?
Lars really wants to make as
Ah, ¿cómo
large
que? No tiene
of a
bicho.
Zeus as he can.
Posible.
Because unfortunately, it's not going to be enough to just be able to Zeus once.
Okay.
The Fenrir will be able to just take
Big
everything back.
Bang.
So he's gonna use Big Eye to take the Shangri Ira, so he'll be
Big
able
Eye
to go into
para
Zeus still.
probar el
Shangri is able to attack for 0.
Shangri-La,
No
pegar.
damage. But Xyz Monster did battle. Now he's going into main phase 2.
Es el
Put
Zeus.
Zeus on top of the Big Eye.
Ahí.
Okay,
Se
I like
te
this
pasa.
because
Okay.
this is what's going to happen, right? In the standby phase, Shangri is going to activate and Zeus is going to be chained.
And it's not. But he did use the Tinker Ira at least.
Y
Because I would assume what he wants to do is clear everything else from the field.
He might,
lo que va a
he might
pasar
not think
ahora
that those face downs are bursts or something. Maybe he
es
thinks them like
que...
infinite permanent or... No, see what he's impermanents on the Vineyard. What do you think he thinks those face downs are?
I guess
a ver qué pasa.
if they were chainables, would
No sé, si
Jeremy
Fenrir
still
está
have
by,
them?
¿no?
That's what I'm saying.
Efecto de
So you have
Shangri-La,
to maybe
Fenrir,
spell cards,
Dark
but
Hole,
Dark Hole
ahí.
punishing him for not using the Zeus yet.
And now he could attack material from the Shangri, but I don't really see the point.
Y
He just
ahora...
chain the Zeus, but then if he chains the Zeus, he loses that set.
Oh man, we
Tiene
saw we
sentido
kind of
activar
have
el
perfect information,
Zeus,
so
¿o
it's a little
no?
easier to see the path to victory.
No, ok.
Yeah, if he just was able to use a Zeus prior, he would have had access to even just holding Zeus with different impermanents against the Kashtira Fenrir. But allowing everything to go through, Shangri is
Queda
there.
nomás el Shangri-La,
Going to be met with
de
infinite impermanents.
destrucción.
Then it's going to be immediate flip of Kashtira Birth.
Yeah, you know, Lars is not feeling good now, seeing that both those face downs are Dark Hole and Birth.
You know, if
Fenrir,
was a bit of a two-way thing. Lars
luego
would
el
have set
Fenrir,
infinite impermanents
y
in
no,
front
o sea,
of
invoca
just
con
in
Vir,
case it was
invoca
a set copy of Birth that he knew
Unicornio,
But if
perversa
it
al
was the top of
Fenrir.
infinite impermanents, he could have really backfired on him.
That's always the infinite impermanence game, right?
It could technically go either way, though. If it wasn't infinite impermanence that was going to be chained to the Zeus, you could chain infinite impermanents on his infinite impermanents, assuming he committed a monster already.
The layers.
Acheteosis.
You can use that Kashtira Theosis, targeting Kashtira Unicorn.
Target
I think
Unicornio.
Lars has no card to his name here. It's just a Shangri-La that's protected itself. He is his own zone locked by that Shangri-La. Jeremy just had to put up the damage at this point.
There's something funny about that, of having the Shangri Ira on your side of the field locking your zone.
Ese ataque no
He's still
tiene
able to scare
mucho.
Kashtira if he still has access to it. Lars is only at 7,000 from
Tira
activating
ira.
the cyclone.
Very true.
Gosh.
And he's still under
Algo
the
de ira, no
red.
sé qué.
Yeah,
Aquí
and he's
lo
only
queda.
draws the next 2 turns will go straight to the graveyard.
Entonces, si puede poner el daño, puede
Oh,
ganar
he affects
este,
turn, so not going to be too useful.
en este turno. 28 minutos está
Now
quedando.
he's taking a moment to consider what his next option is. He's mere moments potentially away from being the North America World Championship qualifier
El
champion.
erradicador ese va a estar complicado, porque cuando pase el turno y se roba una
Finish
magia,
line,
se
don't
va a
wanna slip right
romper.
before the end.
Yeah, you never want to get too
No va a
comfortable
servir de
with
nada.
over until that last life point is depleted.
Looks like
Lo
another
pesadote.
card in the hand.
In a battle.
Just go to battle,
Rebote,
grab a
pega,
Yeah, not choosing to use Fenrir's effector because again there's no point. And now Xyz Monster has battle.
I'll say that's the more beneficial part, that an Xyz Monster has.
Pega
Battle. It doesn't
ahí.
have to be yours. It can be anywhere on the field if you want to go into Zeus.
efecto,
Lots
ahí
of
va.
being done, Unicorn being able to go.
Vanilla y la Raizar, abajo.
It's going to be
Okay.
banished face down.
Ya se fue la Raizar.
And
Y
then
lo hace
he's
el
going
del.
to go into Flare Metal again.
Oh, Flare Metal.
Looking
Sí,
like what he's thinking about.
Yeah, a little better than
Sí.
Rise Heart in this position.
Red Eyes Flare Metal. He's going to pass. Let's see what Lars draws. Let's reveal it for
pasa,
Eradicator.
erradicador.
It's a spell card. It's
Después,
that's
y
it.
terminó. Ahí terminó, ¿no?
Terry Mitchell is our champion.
El erradicador.
World Championship qualifier champion.
Está en la pila ahí.
Florida is going to be our champion for the
Ahí
weekend.
está la final.
Just, you hear the crowd going wild for the man. What an amazing journey. You mentioned he's
Y ganó
fourth at
nomás.
YCS, makes second at YCS, and now he is going to add North America champion onto his credentials as
Bueno.
well. What an epic match.
Espero que les haya
So
gustado
well,
estos
and he
videos.
just earned it here
Lástima
all
que no
the way
tenemos
from
nada del
finals.
día 1 ni del top 16, pero
What a great game.
bueno.
We saw that he
Y
had
los
the
duelos,
know that he was going
menos
to
el top
make it,
32, que
capitalize
es
on that,
sí
set
fue
that
aburrido.
up, hit a multitude of spells.
El mejor duelo, puede decir que fue el del Hero.
With emotion as he should be.
Fue
I've
muy
been there,
entretenido.
not this stage, but
Bueno.
sometimes when you just-
Espero que te esté gustando este contenido.
Physical,
La idea es hacer
green,
más
and
de esto.
you're just like, wow,
Bueno,
it's over.
hasta el próximo video y muchas
Just
gracias.
incredible for him.